Uh, all right, Tets,
Yes.
it's your turn.
Okay.
That
um,
was unceremonious
I
tran-
yeah.
transfer of power to you, but the power is yours and the floor.
I need no ceremony. That's what crab are for, right? No
Oh
ceremony.
yeah.
No. So I was gonna talk about because I kind of made a promise in the new Hobby Corner series that we've been doing that I would talk about Gaslands, the tabletop war game. I guess it technically is a war game. Um, I'm gonna caveat this with I still have not played a game yet.
You can still
Um,
introduce it though.
well, right, yeah, I was gonna say this is with the caveat of having not played it yet. But I love the idea of this game. This game is essentially uh, X-Wing, the miniatures game, meets Mad Max.
Which sounds awesome.
Yep. And what I mean by that is in the sense that X-Wing. So yeah, we'll start there. In the way that X-Wing handles a lot of its mechanics with like the what do you call those templates? There you go.
Yeah.
You choose your templates, you move, you roll dice to see if you attack or whatever, or if you hit things and blah blah blah. So this is similar in that regard, but because it's Mad Max themed, it's actually, or I guess Death Race is another one that you could say it's themed around. Just that kind of post-apocalyptic demolition derby aesthetic. Um, you are, I mean, the main mode of the game is called Death Race. You are trying to race through all of the checkpoints, have one of your cars make it through first without the opponents destroying you before you do so. Is literally the point of the main game.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really cool about it, to me at least, as a modeler, is that it has no miniatures of its own. You instead are encouraged to custom make your models from Hot Wheels cars or Matchbox cars or that
Basically, any
scale.
1/64th scale.
Yeah, that the buck 50 car that you get from Target, whatever. Um, which is a really low barrier of entry, which is one of the other reasons why I really like it. Because you could just go grab a bunch and play. You could hit a bunch with a hammer, and now they kind of look. Yeah, it's essentially the main game type is Death Race. Did I go over that? Yeah, so the game mode is essentially you have checkpoints that you set up, and you're trying to go through them all and get to the end of the race before everybody else does. You also have weapons that you can shoot at each other. Kind of, I mean, as you would think for Death Race or Mad Max or whatever. What I think is kind of interesting is it does have like specific weapons to a degree, but they kind of don't care how you um express that on the model, right? The what you see is what you get is way less in this game. Partially again too, right? Because you can just go pick up some Hot Wheels and play. You don't have to customize anything, so they don't care as much about that. They're they have a few different sponsors.
Like a
That's
faction.
Yeah, that's their factions. Is that they call them sponsors. Kind of the fluff of the game is that the elite now live on Mars, and Earth has kind of become this like the ghettos. It's almost like a planet-wide ghettos type deal, and popular television show on Mars is the Death Race. And so everybody, if you can win a series of death races, you get to go to Mars, and like that's legitimately the story to the game. But so you have these different sponsors that sponsor people for the death race. And based off of who your sponsors are, there's certain equipment or certain abilities you have access to that other people don't. For example, one of them, Rutherford, allows you to use tanks and military helicopters and military grade hardware. but you're not going to get like some of the abilities for that are based around speed or aggressive driving, just because you have access to these other vehicles. Another one, I'm blanking on its name now, has like prototypical Tesla weapons that you can use, which I thought was really interesting. But so that's kind of how it handles armies, I guess, and for a corollary to other war games. But again, like you could have multiple people playing against each other that are sponsored by the same sponsors.
Is there like a typical size for like your squad team or whatever? Like
Oh
how many
yes,
vehicles?
they call it cans is the point value that you use. Usually most games are 40 to 60 cans to build your cars on, which usually equates to 2 to 3 cars. But again, it's kind of like war games where, right, like if you could spend all of them in one massive vehicle if you wanted. They call them war rigs. You deck out a semi truck or like a massive RV or a bus. You can sink all of your points into this one massive thing that's going to soak a ton of damage. Or you could get 3 or 4 fast little buggies, but you're going to run the risk of wipeouts and slides and hazards, all that kind of stuff. Which gets me to the how it handles the main mechanic of the game, which is driving. One of the things that I really thought was interesting and I really liked, it does not allow you to pick up a template and kind of play around with ideas before you put a template down to move. If you grab a template, touch it at all, that's the one you have to use for your movement. And the idea is, like, you're driving a car, right? Like, you only have a split second to make a decision, and that's what's happening to you. So that's kind of one of their ways to try to preserve that high speed feeling, of what's going on. But essentially what you'll do is, so they have, each round is split up into gears. Vehicles will start in different gears, and different types of chassis can have access to a different maximum number of gears. Faster cars that have higher gears have the ability to act more times. So in gear 1, everybody who's in first gear and higher acts. Second gear, everybody who's in second gear and higher can act. So if you're in gear 6, you're going to get 6 actions with that car over the course of the turn. Is kind of how they handle that. And there's always an option with the dice results to be able to shift up or shift down throughout your gears, because the faster you get, the more limited you are in what templates you can choose. And so in gear 6, you only have access to 2 templates, I believe, and both of them carry a good chance of you spinning out, sliding, just having general bad stuff happen to you, essentially.
Yeah.
Everything's resolved with D6s, special D6s, of course. That they call them. I think they just call it your handling dice. So whatever your handling skill is, you roll that many dice. And you will get shift. Is one of the results, which you can either use to shift up or shift down, or to cancel out other results. So I think shift is on 2 or 3 sides of the dice. And then you have hazards, slides, and what is the other one? I forget what the other one is. But essentially, if you end up not canceling out a hazard, it's going to go on your sheet, essentially. And if you get 6 hazards, you have to make a wipeout test, which can cause you to slide out of control, spin, that's the other one. Cause you to spin out, all that kind of stuff. And if you ever hit a car or hit any of the obstacles, they have a pretty good collision rules. So depending on how you hit them, what angle you hit them at, what's your velocity based off, what direction were you going in based off of what angle your car is at, and all that kind of stuff, which I thought was really kind of cool. But it's still fast. It's not like number crunchy. It's not like BattleTech where you're constantly referencing tables.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like all right, just this is what you roll, this is what you get. Boom, you're done. Like,
Have you watched any games like on YouTube or anything?
I have actually, and there's
How
actually
long do they
Go ahead.
typically take? Do you think? How long is a game typically?
Most of the ones I saw were done in 30 to 45 minutes. And that's usually with them cross-referencing rules, and I'm not sure how this happens. Let's check, and that kind of learning rules, right? So I'd say
Oh, you
There you
just
are.
cut out
You
there.
just came back in.
I was just saying that based off of what I was seeing, I think a good rule of thumb, if you know the rules, is probably about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
It might push
Pretty
longer,
standard.
but yeah. And
That's
because
good.
like every single death race I saw, I don't think I ever saw one where somebody crosses the finish line. Every single time, everybody shoots everybody, and like a lot of times, it's two last cars that are both like charging at each other, and like it ends in a tie. Like the vast majority of the stuff I watched ended in ties, or like a car was going through the finish line and rolled badly, and so spun out of control and ends up hitting the side of the checkpoint and explodes there at the finish line. Right, like. So it's kind of that carnage, that twisted metal type aspect to it, which was kind of cool. One of the things that kind of has me excited to try the game out. But yeah, it's not too terribly long. I'm sure you could make it longer, like with higher gas cans amounts, or
And there's also like that's not the only mode, right? I know at
Correct.
least I saw at least one of the like the free downloads they had was like a Truckosaurus scenario.
Yes. So the Truckosaurus, if I remember correctly, is the essentially using the war rigs. Like one of the alternates for war rigs can be monster trucks, and so one guy is driving a monster truck and he's just out to destroy everybody, and then all of the other players are trying to work together to destroy this Truckosaurus. So it's more demolition derby than race.
Yeah.
So there's no like checkpoints.
Like standard tabletop war game stuff,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, and one of the other basic modes is just straight up.
Yeah.
But
Derby.
I think it's that one, or maybe it's Death Race. One of the two. They actually have turrets that are set up on the course, and so sometimes you have to focus on taking out turrets as opposed to taking out your opponents. But if you're shooting at turrets, you're not shooting at your opponent, right?
Yep.
So, but yeah, it was interesting. It's expensive to get into compared to a lot of other war games. The rule book at full price, I think, is $50 for a download. You're not paying $60 for rule books. You don't need a separate book for every army. It's a one and done deal. Yeah, it's and a lot of the stuff they have for free for download. And as far as like your vehicle character sheets and your even the templates, they have them all online, so you can just print them up on paper and cut them out. Or you can go to their store and buy like acrylic made ones or whatever. But
and on their website they have links to like Etsy stores and other partners of
Right.
people who
Like
make
card
their own
versions of
terrain, custom cars, templates.
Yeah. The
if you don't want to, do the custom modeling yourself or whatever.
Yeah. Some people make like pieces to glue onto the models, like different like little guns or turrets, even like people that you can glue into the driver's seat and stuff like that. That way you don't have to like model them yourself.
Yeah. So what's kept you from playing so far? Just not finding someone to play with?
Not even that. It's not having time to get with the guy that wants to play it with me.
Gotcha.
Like, so we both have Tabletop Simulator, and Tabletop Simulator actually has this game already preloaded. Like you can download it as part of the option. So we even had set out time to do that, and then something had happened and we couldn't play. Like, it's literally I just haven't had a chance.
Yeah.
So, but I'm excited to. It's kind of one of those. It is very niche, but it's I don't know. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks really entertaining.
The coolest thing to me about it is just the custom car making aspect of it, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll admit that was the biggest draw for me. Like, when I saw it online, I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool. I wonder what the models are." And then when I saw that it was make your own models, I was like, "I am all over this. Yes, let me go buy some Hot Wheels from the store since they're only $1 in practice."
Yeah.
So
I've definitely been looking through Hot Wheel models to see like which specific models I might want to try and model or customize.
I need to get some. I want to get some trucks next and do some trucks because I've only done cars so far. But like that, and that's one of the things. Like they have different chassis bases, and even if your model is like a car, you could argue that it's a buggy chassis because they gutted out a bunch of stuff or something like that.
Yeah.
And so there's different small stat changes based off of the chassis type you use. So like both of my cars, I think technically fall under like sports car or whatever. But I want to play with some others.
Just look for random games on Tabletop Sim. Do they have a Reddit for Tabletop Sim?
Probably.
I don't know how you matchmake on it because I've never messed around with it.
You can either create one and just kind of leave an open lobby, and then let random people join, or you can create one with the password and just give out the password, or you can create it hidden, so they have to have the password even just to see it.
Got it.
But then even through Steam, like you know how you can go to your friends list, right click on the friend and invite to game.
Yeah.
You can just do it that way too, and it'll automatically invite them to whatever game you're doing.
Okay.
I think did we do an episode on?
We did.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
I think it was your topic.
It probably was.
It was sometime last year. It was probably around summertime, I think.